Welcome to Divine Decode, the space where science, spirit, and transformation meet. I'm your host, Pragya Malvia, and today we are diving into a conversation that just might change how you see yourself and the world around you. We are joined by Dr. Victoria Rader, who is a visionary founder of True Shine and pioneer of quantum personal development. Through groundbreaking methods like 3ME EFT, Quantum ME, and Empire ME, she's helping people across the globe break free from old limitations and step into a life of peace, purpose, and prosperity. So, have you ever felt like you were meant for more but didn't know where to start? Or wondered if there was a science to transformation, not just wishful thinking? So, today we are exploring how to create a true quantum leap in our lives, practical shifts that could unlock the future you've been dreaming about. And it will only be possible if you resonate with Victoria today. And for that, Victoria, thank you so much for being on the show. And it's a pleasure to host you today.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. And I feel this will be a very valuable conversation for all involved today.
It surely will be. And okay, Victoria, so I would love to start with this thought that, what first drew you to merge quantum concepts with personal development? I mean, I want to know if there was a moment in your own life when you realized the traditional path, it was not enough, or was it something else?
I think it was a very powerful realization for me where I was invited to speak at one of the larger conferences, and they were wonderful people that I've made a lot of friends with, personal development leaders. I've been into the field of personal development for a long time. But then when I started digging deeper, Pragya, what I've realized is that most of those people have very fragmented lives. They were great on stage. They were very inspiring, but some of them had horrific health. Most of these people in personal development were unfortunately in very dysfunctional relationship with their loved ones or had an absence of a loved one altogether. And as I started sitting there, I thought, wait a minute, these concepts indeed are allowing you to grow, but which part of you? The ego part. The personal development that's traditionally been developed in the Western world has focused so much on persona development, really persona. And persona is how we appear to the world, the ego part. It has not been soulful development. And so it's been so interesting. There was this gap of surrender and development. If you go to beautiful religious traditions, and I really don't care what walk you walk, if you look into spirituality and into really any religion, they've been focusing on the development of the soul, but very often missing surrenders to where, well, I surrender, so I guess I'm not driven. What will be, will be. So I'm not in control. So I'm just kind of floating and nothing happens. And hey, why don't I blame God or creator or universe? Because hey, I've surrendered, so I do nothing. And so what I felt was there was this great gap of misunderstanding that to surrender to divine, you have to have something to surrender. So taking the personal development and surrendering it to divine gave birth to quantum personal development. So I often say in personal development, it's mind over matter. And in a quantum personal development, it's heart over mind over matter. So you have a very calm, loving heart, a very focused, driven mind that activates both the spirit and the soul. And that alignment, you surrender to divine guidance. And now you get to have a gorgeous life, not only on stage, but in your relationship with your family, with your children, if you have them, you have time to have fun. You're not just a robot who's achieving zeros behind their names to look good on Instagram and you have an empty life behind you. You're now living a life of fulfillment. So that little catalyst and realization was probably a trigger to look for solution and then to verbalize it and then to guide people how to thrive through fulfilled life.
That is so lovely. And, it's so interesting sometimes, how innovation, it often brings a right where the old ways they stop working. It might be fear of failure, fear of change, and, sometimes people often even fear their success. So
Yes.
how do your techniques, how do they help someone sitting at home thinking that, I want to change, but I don't know how to start? And yes, how do your techniques help them?
The first technique is the conscious awareness that fear is ever present. And if you're waiting to fear to leave you alone before you have the right to live a full life, you never do. So for any one of us, at any point, there are two voices, at least in our mind. One voice I call a scared me voice. And the scared me constantly tells you, who do you think you are? Let me tell you every horrible thing that can go wrong. And that chatter is constant and consistent. And it comes from our survival part that, by the way, never goes away. It's that little M part. It's mortal, it's matter, and it manifests materially. So that the M part of who you and I are, this physical body, if it hasn't done something, it's its job to preserve life at any cost. And it does so through fear. So anytime you want to do something new, the mortal matter that's going to tell you, don't do it, it's dangerous, you're going to fail. So that's the scared part of us. At the same time, there is a sacred part of each one of us. I call it the big E, the eternal energy, the essence of expansion. So when you look at all of our products, it's little m, big E. I am me, you are me, we're all matter and we're all energy. And so the sacred self is that eternal energy, the essence of expansion, and its voice is much quieter. And so what I say as a technique number one, when you hear fear, and you will, do not push it, accept it for what it is. And instead of listening to it, talk to it. Instead of listening, talk to it. So when the fear tells you, who do you think you are? You're going to fail. You've got to verbally say, I know who I am. I'm a child of God. I'm a spark of divine. Thank you, fear, for being worried about me. Watch me do it anyway. Why would you say it verbally? Because our voice has the most powerful coding for our matter. Voice is a frequency. It's the energy. And the most consistent energy as a frequency in our life has been our voice. So our body learned to trust our voice. So when we speak to ourselves, our cells listen, they obey, and they support the voice. This is the birth of affirmations. However, when you affirm, it's important to affirm in a way that you can trust yourself. For example, if you're broke and you have no money and you're terrified what's going to happen and you're sitting there in your head, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I lose my house? What's going to happen? You will not say, I'm a money magnet, I am prosperous, because you know it's a lie at that point. But what you can say, and this is the technique number one. Technique number one was talk to fear instead of listen to fear. Technique number two, ask questions in this sequence. Okay, but what if it was possible to have a solution? You see, it's a very non-threatening affirmation. What if it were possible to have a solution? Now, what if it were possible for me to have a solution? What would that solution be? Let me talk through possible solutions. And when you speak out loud, your body starts relaxing and trusting there's a solution. And the more, then when you speak, I know I will have a solution. After having asked those questions, the solution to an issue comes. So fear is normal. Talk to it instead of listen to it. And when you talk, take yourself through steps of affirmation that your body can trust and not sabotage. This really is gold.
I love that. And I truly, truly get and sometimes even resonate with things that you've shared and the advices and the insights that you've shared with us today. Because the thing that you said, rather than fearing the fear, talk to it, face it. And that is the best that you can do for yourself because fears, nowhere it is written and it is not something that fears, they can't be over ridden or, they can't be left behind or defeated. So thank you for that. Also, some listeners, they might be saying that this sounds too spiritual for me, right? Or if not spiritual, it might sound a bit difficult to them. So, how do you explain your work in a way that someone with a practical, logical mind can relate to? Or, in simpler words, how can they relate it with their daily life?
I think what happens is that we've confused what practical is and what spiritual is. We made the word energy spiritual, which to me is insane because it is the most scientific word there is. We do we have solar panels for what? To produce pure energy. There is nothing more practical, more palpable, and more measurable than energy. If you study biology, you understand that cells produce energy. If you study through mitochondria, now here's a fascinating thing. When you study mitochondria in depth, and the scientists have done it, scientists that are practical and pragmatic, they will tell you that our mitochondria has capacity to produce 1,000 times more energy than the sun. So we are energy beings. That is not a spiritual concept. Spirituality caught on to the very pragmatic concept. We are energy. And so the sooner we start learning and pragmatically implementing the laws of energy, the greater our outcome. So one of the laws of energy is gravity. Nobody is shocked to know that gravity is the law. I would not be jumping off the 6th floor. Why? Because I know gravity is going to drag me down and I will get hurt. And so people are, I think, when they say it's too spiritual, it is a subconscious belief that things are quote unquote too spiritual. The reality is everything that we know is energy. It is not spirituality. It is both traditional physics and quantum physics. And those are practical fields, measurable fields of reality. So the first step to understand is that what you tell yourself internally will charge the energy. We are energy. We know that our blood is measuring negative. We know that in the battery, any battery you grab, there is a positive and a negative and. And that's what creates the charge. The battery fully charged attracts through the positive and repels through the negative end. We know scientifically the earth has two poles. They're polarities. They're attracting physiologically and repelling physiologically. You and I are built from the same matter, from the same cellular atomic structure as all of the universe. And so these laws are so practical that it is the laziness of the human mind that detaches them and quote unquote makes them spiritual. Why do you and I eat food? We actually say it to get what? Energy, to charge our bodies. And we know the food we eat will determine the quality of energy we receive. If I go take snake poison, I will die. Why? I put negative energy for my body and that hurt me. If I eat healthy food, I have healthy energy. The input determines the output. Physical law we live every day. The same is true for our thoughts, And the same is true for our emotion. No matter how happy I am, if I walk into a funeral home, I don't have to be a great empath to all of a sudden feel my energy being drained, because there is the energy of sadness. Just as the physical food has energy, emotional process is energy. It's emotion is energy in motion. So you don't have to be a spiritual guru to know when you are emotionally drained, that's the energy concept, you need to charge up to have energy for life. So what are things that charge you up? You and only you will discover that. So the first step to living a life of wholeness and fulfillment is getting a pen, sitting down, and creating a list of things. These things drain me. These things charge me up. And then you're going to be amazed as to when you say, oh, wait a minute, all of these going through numbers drains me, and I'm an accountant. That is strange. I'm in the wrong occupation. But then on the other hand, standing for truth and for justice and for fairness fires me up. It charges me. I'm going to law school to become an attorney. And that's the energy I feel about you, Pragya. So that's why I'm using that as an example. So I know that my job will be charging me up. So I couldn't simplify it to probably a more basic level. Create the list. This charges me up. This drains me. And the game of life is to do more of what charges you up and less of what drains you. And that is physics. That is physics for a battery, for a planet, and for a human being. You know what charges me up? Dogs. So you know what I have? 4 of them. You know what else charges me up? Tennis. So I play it every day. So become aware. The first law of quantum personal development is the law of awareness. Become aware of how energy travels through you. Some people eat an ice cream and can't move for a day. Others eat an ice cream and amazingly are full of energy. So we can't assume that what works for some works for all. Know you. Become aware of how energy flows through you. That would be the first step, the awareness, and then the adjustment.
Also, love how you mentioned your dogs, and I totally get that because dogs, they just do everything for you, right? Not just dogs, but every other pet that you have. They let you move? Did they become your second therapist, basically? Is that right?
Very much so. I think in English, I love to joke about it because the dog and God are spelled backwards. So I said God's greatest example of love is the dog. They love you unconditionally. And the closer we are to learning the power of love, the closer we are to living a fulfilled life of success and significance. I say love is life originating vibrant emotion. At any point, any action we take either adds life to something or it subtracts it. And that's as simple as love is. Some people say, I love you, so I'm hitting you. No, that's not love. That's abuse, But I think to me, there are living reminders of just love. When in doubt, what would love do? Just do that.
That was it. Also, if everyone or if every person began living with more peace and clarity, how would that change things like, workplaces, families, or even schools? Because, I don't know about harmony, but peace and clarity, these are two basic things, wherein uh, the society, it really revolves around these and it largely depends on it. So, what is your take on it?
I define peace as awareness of Creator's love for you. You feel peace when you know you're loved as you are. That's a definition of peace. All form of anxiety that rob us of peace come from our need to prove our own worth. When we understand that our worth is infinite, that what we do or how we do it does not rob us of worth, it robs us of some blessings because The laws either reward behavior or they punish it. Universal laws reward behavior or punish it, just like legal laws do, but they don't touch our inner worth. So the deep, our most recent journal that we published for that reason was called Worthy Me. The whole purpose for the journal is to reconnect and restore a soul's worth. Because when I know that I am worthy, the depth of the peace is unshakable. Because then I no longer take offense at everything. What robs us of peace is when our ideas, our thoughts, or people we love are rejected. So if something I hold near to me or dear to me is rejected, then I feel rejected. Then I feel I must prove my worth. So there goes my peace. But if I know that I'm worthy of having my own opinions without need of those opinions to be accepted, then when somebody rejects them, I understand they have free agency to simply disagree with my opinion. It does not affect my inner worth. So I become impervious to other people's opinions. And when I become impervious, I no longer take offense. And if I don't get offended, I don't lose my peace. The more I can practice it, and I know we're all human, so I'm not talking about 100% saint behavior. I'm talking 51%, where 51% of the time during the day, I no longer lose my inner knowing of my worth. And then maybe in a year it becomes 52%. And quite frankly, if I'm at 70% of feeling peace, that is phenomenal. Because when I feel the peace internally, I will then feel the passion for life. I will then serve humanity. And as I pursue my purpose through serving humanity through peace and passion, prosperity follows. Then money becomes a secondary flow to support the expansion of peace. That honestly is the path for humanity to prosper. But it all starts, to your point, with reclaiming peace. And once again, how do I reclaim peace? I remember my worth. I don't expect everybody else to agree with me. Their disagreement does not disconnect me from my worth. That's the beginning of continual peace.
Mm, that is lovely. This conversation with Dr. Victoria Rader shows us that quantum growth is not a far off dream. It's something we can live, breathe, and experience for ourselves. So maybe today a single idea sparked curiosity in you. Maybe it was a story, a question, or just a sense that more is possible. Whatever it was, consider this your invitation to take that first step. And please take that to explore your own leap into clarity, freedom, and abundance. I am Pragya Malia, and this is Divine Decode.